Hi everyone, welcome to Hi Videocast. This is not the usual masterclasses you see on our YouTube channel every month. Today we have our always special guest, Pedro Oliveira.
Thank you.
He is here with us not to talk about a masterclass topic that he usually does, as you are familiarized with it. Today we are talking about Interactive's work on the banking industry. And Pedro is here to talk about his first banking digital challenge at High Interactive. Without further to add, let me say hi, Pedro. How are you?
João, nice to meet you here.
Nice to meet you, Pedro. And before we start the video cast, I will ask you to drop us a like and share this video with your community. It will be much more appreciated from us at High Interactive. And with that said, Pedro, let's talk about this case study. Let's
Yeah,
talk about the banking industry. And
drop
the
questions.
first question I want to ask you is if you can give some context for the ones at home that are listening to this of the client and the project that we are going to talk about.
Yeah, So basically, we are talking about a project that, for us, our commitment with this client start around six years ago, 6 7 years ago. So we are with them for a long time. Basically, as you said, this is a business that runs in. It's basically a banking. Okay, so they have internal applications like B2E type of communication. With applications that they use internally, applications they use on balconies to assist someone that goes there to make a transaction, for example. And then they have public applications, I mean, B2C type of language. So a lot of their ecosystem is really huge. Okay. So
Okay.
naturally, on top of this, they have mobile native applications, web responsive, like the the public site. Some of these applications, as I said, run on tablets or exclusively on tablets. Another ones runs on phones. So their ecosystem is really huge, and it's been a huge challenge helping them. In fact,
Okay, yeah. Now that it's been 6 years from
yeah,
that, and how you help them on the digital transformation. When you first got there,
yeah.
what was your approach when you saw the design of the applications and its requirements for our work to be done?
Usually, what we do, or the process that we usually try to follow, it's based on working alongside with the design team. Okay,
Okay,
so there's a separated team working. Uh, well, not working with us, but what we do is we try to um, um, our work. I mean, what we do, like developing components and things like that. We base our work on the design that they do, and it's approved by the client. So both of us, I mean, the UI design team and the UI development team, uh, kind of work together. All right. So we try to look at what they are doing, and we try to give them feedback on the things that they are designing. And this is important because since we develop, we implement what they design, and we are talking about a lot of screens, a lot of components, hundreds of components.
yeah,
Okay,
because we
a
are
lot
talking.
of different, yeah, a lot of different applications with different needs. We have all the knowledge on how these things are done, so we try to give them feedback during the design phase. Okay, I mean, saying things that if you don't do this small detail like this and instead do like this, it's going to reduce our effort in a week sometimes. So try to reuse what it's already implemented. And these kind of small details, when we ask them, usually are things that doesn't have too much impact on the user experience. So when this happens, they change this small detail, and this is going to help us a lot. And the client is not going to notice anything. The experience is going to be the same, because I usually say, or there's a saying that fixing something during the design phase costs like as an effort like an hour, and if we try to fix the same thing during a development phase, the effort is like a week.
It's way bigger. Yeah.
That's why it's very important for us as a UI development team to be closer to the UI design team.
Okay, fine. And yeah, and because we are talking about a lot of screens that you've said, because this is one of the largest banking companies here in Portugal.
Yeah.
So yeah, but with that said, now that we've talked about the design, how was your approach to go ahead with the development phase?
Yeah, basically it follows what I said before. Our focus on the beginning of our collaboration with the client, we had a specific app with a specific design, and by that time we created like a theme and a lifestyle guide, and we implemented everything, and they developed the application. Okay, so after a while, more applications started to appear, and our effort began to be shared across or between different teams. Okay, we are talking about 8, 9 teams that we in a daily basis talk to. Okay, and so our efforts start to be shared between these teams, and naturally what we did was scale our team. We started with one person, and at a certain point in time, we get to the point of having our team with four or five, maybe, uh, um, um, uh, colleagues at the same time. Okay, by now we have two colleagues there,
I
if
think
I'm
there are two. Yeah.
wrong. But what we do, our approach is basically try to understand if they are going to enter a stage in or a point in time with a lot of work, and we try to adapt the size of our team, basically.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I understood what you said, but
Yeah,
like as you were saying before, like you need to have an efficient way to work with the designers, and that
yes.
leads me to another question that I have here to ask you. It's like uh, how was the approach for us at the beginning to create an efficient and scalable UI architecture? To
Uh, it's not an easy task, because usually when things started to be developed in an early stage, what happens is we don't have an overview of what is going to happen in the future. Okay, and what we know for sure is, okay, we have an application. We need to create this application, and based on the needs, we are going to develop assets like components, the
yeah,
typography, colors, all of that. But when we do this, we try to have in mind, I mean, when we do this, we need to follow a certain UI architecture, even if
yeah.
this is a very basic one. Okay, we are talking about a theme, and basically it's just a theme. But we need to think about the scalability. Okay, we need to we know that this is going to grow. The probability of the architecture to scale is almost 100%. So this is difficult because we don't have an overview of the future naturally, but we always do create stuff with this UI architecture scalability in mind. So we try to understand what we have in terms of lifestyle guides that can respond to the needs. Okay, and if not, we try to adapt what we have. Okay, if we need a new theme, we are going to create this theme, but and not it's not just sit at our tables and start developing CSS. No, we try to understand. Okay, this theme is going to be based on another one down in the tree. So we don't need to rewrite everything. Okay,
Yeah.
so the scale is very important, and the way we have to do this is to use the tool called Lifestyle Guides to work as a centerpiece for the developers to use when they are creating something, when they are developing an application. Okay, so with these lifestyle guides, we are going to help the developers to spend less time when they are creating screens and applications.
Yeah, yeah, sure. But like not only for development, as you were saying, but also for design. And that leads me to another question that it's like, and you have touched this point before, but now I will ask you directly about this. It's like, how do you collaborate with designers to ensure that you have a smooth development process that can
Mhm.
achieve the goals of the project in the banking industry.
Yes, and as I said before, we try to be like inside or very close to the main design decision phases. Okay, and again, this is important because we have a deeper understanding of what is implemented, right? And also we have a more technical knowledge naturally than the design team. Most of them doesn't even know what our system is and how it works. So this close, uh, um, since we are very close to them, we can help them foreseeing some problems that they cannot see them and avoid these problems yet in the design phases. As I said
Yeah,
before,
yeah,
detecting problems in the design phase and all of that. So
yeah,
regarding the developers, uh, to try to make all this process as smooth as possible, again, we try to have a close relationship with them. Okay, we try to teach them in a daily basis. Okay, uh, not just about teach them about the best practices and guidelines for front end, but we try to guide them to use the lifestyle guide. Okay, we know that most of developers don't like or don't want to go to the lifestyle guide to find something. Okay, and this
yeah,
is something that we learn along the way. So we try to uh, push them to before talk to us, go to the lifestyle guide and try to see if you find and you can solve your problem. Okay,
yeah,
so if that's not the case, if they really have a problem, obviously they talk to us, we
yeah.
understand with them the problem, and basically they address us
Yeah, and like this joint work eases everyone's job, not only your
yeah.
job as a developer, also for the designers. Like they,
And we learn a lot with the
oh,
developers. Okay, because sometimes when they give us a task, okay, we need a component to show a title and two buttons. Yeah, okay, I understand that. But if I understand the way the developers think and the way the developers are going to implement the component and use the component, not implement the component, use the component. Sometimes in more complex components, what is going to happen is that I'm going to develop the component in a way that it's going to be easier for the developer to apply the component.
Sure.
Okay, if we talk about adding more events to the component or parameters to the component, things that are not in the initial requirements, but by working with the developers, close with them, I know, I'm almost 100% sure that they are going to need that,
Yeah.
even it's not in the initial requirements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like going forward on that process and talking more about like the development process, like how
Mhm.
developers like you, Pedro, handle responsive design and ensure that all web applications work well in all screens and all devices. So
There's not a magic way, unfortunately,
sure,
but you know that a couple of years ago, I mean, you almost th- there was basically one place you can see a website. Okay, it's in your desktop. It's
sure,
your
yeah,
screen. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
and you didn't have like 100 different screen sizes. Okay, so with time, mobility start appearing with cell phones and then tablets, and then uh, before that the laptops,
yeah.
before
The laptops,
desktop.
no,
So we are talking in hundreds of potential screen sizes and devices and browsers, and so it's a complete mess. So there's no rule for this. Okay, we just need to understand. So in the situation of this client specific, uh, since they have hundreds of customers, we don't know the devices they are going to use to access home banking, for example. So the secret here, I mean, is there's no secret. Okay, we need to test what we are doing in different devices, in different browsers. And fortunately, there are a couple of good applications that can help. I mean, emulate devices. So virtually, I have access to an infinity of devices in my browser.
sure,
But on top of this is also important, and our experience here help us a lot. Basically, what I'm saying is, since we have a lot of experience in this area, writing CSS and all of that, when we develop, we are already doing it, knowing that what I am doing is going to have problems in this device and this and this. So when I'm doing it, I'm already writing some rules
yeah.
to
To
prevent the problem. So we learn with the past experience, and we are always thinking about it. Obviously, sometimes things evolve. The devices are evolving and browsing and all of that.
yeah,
So
they are.
sometimes the hacks that we are used to doesn't make any sense. But yeah, experience is not also test everything that we do, but the experience is very very helpful.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Talking about the experience and talking about high interactive and talking about the teams that we
Mhm,
work with. And in this specific case, we work with the team on this bank. And I wanted to ask you this because you have experience not only with the banking industry but many other industries. What is the our strategy to
mhm.
transfer the knowledge to the clients teams that we work with, because like it's part of our methodology and it's a thing that
Yeah.
we want to do in every project, and I wanted to ask you what's the most effective way to do it.
Like you transfer knowledge to them and teach
Yeah,
them. In this specific scenario, we don't have like a regular way to transfer our knowledge. Okay, I'm talking about like once a month or things like that, promote a workshop, or we don't have anything like that in this specific scenario. You have other scenarios or other clients where, for example, before they start developing, we promoted a couple of workshops and then they start developing. But for here, no. And the reason is we are very close to them. Okay, we work with them every single day. We talk to the developers every single day.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a regular process, as I said. Okay, it's a daily basis
yeah,
transfer of knowledge.
yeah. We are always.
We listen what they say, and we try to advise them. Okay, let's do things this way instead of this way because this and that. So there isn't regular workshops or anything like that. It's a daily basis transfer of knowledge, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but with that said, when you talked about like our work day to day, you were part of this day to day work before, and you know much
Yes.
about how it is working with this type of client.
Mhm.
And I wanted to ask you, like, if you can share with us, of course, if you found like a complex front end problem
Mhm.
during your time there, and how did we manage to solve that problem?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of challenges, and not just me, but the other guys that were with me on the front end team
Sure.
or the UI team. I mean, I recall one component in particular that was uh, quite challenged, mostly for a couple of reasons. Okay, the first one was because the complexity of the experience that was designed by our beloved design team. I mean, yeah, I mean it involves the component involves a lot of different types of interactions at different points in time. Okay, we are
Yeah.
talking about scrolls and clicks and events on the screen and change the information and the position of the elements on the screen. Okay, a lot of stuff happening just in that component. Okay, and then on top of this, because the requirements in the beginning were not that well specified. Okay, we know that we need a couple of things, but that was clear by that time, not enough. Okay, so so the requirements was badly defined and not clear. So this mean that the component had to be rethought a few times. Okay, until the final version was accepted and delivered to accepted by the client. I mean, uh, so this is a huge challenge because we deliver a version and then on the other day they get to us and said, no, I'm not able to perform this and I need to do this. And no, the component is not going to allow you to do that. I didn't know. So I change the component again, give another version, and go back and go forward a lot of times. Okay, we are talking about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks for a single component, and this is a lot of time for the component. So in these situations, I don't think there is again a magic one that can solve these problems. Uh, we need a lot of patience. Patience. I mean, and this is having patience is essential, and iterate is also essential. Iterate over time, and don't be afraid of asking everything we think about, even if a question sounds stupid to us. When we ask them, sometimes the feedback that we received from the question we ask, sometimes it helps us, it leads us to something that we didn't thought in the beginning. And
Definitely.
so having patience, iterate, and question everything. I think these are the three magic steps for this kind of challenging situations. Okay,
Okay,
obviously,
yeah,
know what we are doing, the technical part like JavaScript, CSS, understanding how a mobile device works, because for this component in particular needs to work on a mobile device.
yes.
So the technical part is important, but the non-technical abilities are also very important, and they were very important for me by that
Sure.
time.
Sure. And I want to go back when you were talking about the magic steps, and talking about, I guess, the most important magic step. And I think that's the most challenging question I have to ask you till now. That is, how should the strategy be in this type of industry and in this type of project for future developments? How can we be prepared
Yeah,
for?
uh, yeah, you're right. This is an answer or a question for $1 million. And again, we deal with 6, 7, 8 teams every day. Okay, and we deal with the design team, and we deal with stakeholders and people that perform quality. Okay, and for those who are listening and also work in UI development or front end, mostly on UI development, you probably know that 80 or more percent of the time, if something is wrong, it's our fault. It's not something that was badly done by the UX or the UI team. No, it's not an error from the guy who implements the screen. No, it's not. The first group of person that usually a quality team goes and talk to, it's us. Okay,
Yeah.
this is true. So we learn a lot um, with this kind of long-lasting projects. Not just, as I said, not just technical stuff, but how to deal with people, how to manage our tasks, how to prioritize tasks. Okay, this is also very important. And on top of this, listening is very, very important.
You've said it.
And it's something that we can take with us and apply to basically all the projects. I mean, the strategy is basically this. Okay, listen, understand, help design team, help the developers. Okay, try to maintain a lifestyle guide or a design system if it exists. uh, I mean, yeah, it's basically that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think you've got it right. Like, not only the technical part is important, but also this type of skills that you need to have it done. So,
Yeah,
and yeah, and as you've talked before, this is an ever evolving process, and we are ever evolving with him with it. And that leads me to the final question of this video cast. The question is, how can we at High Interactive, not only on this type of banking projects or so, how do we,
yeah.
High Interactive, help companies with their digital transformation?
Okay. I mean, and there are a lot of ways of doing that. But to be quick on an answer, I would say that a good start would be performing an assessment. I mean, look at what is in place. Okay. I mean,
Right.
for example, if we are talking about our systems, understand what is the state of the art of the UI in the factory, and this is going to help us understand if there are, if that's the case, if there's any bottlenecks, okay, that are making more difficult to deliver the projects. Having a dedicated UI team is usually a good way of doing things. All right, because we have the knowledge, we have the experience, and we can teach, we can guide um, who is working with us, and with this ensure that one day when we leave, uh, our footprint on the client um, is well set, is well set on the client. Okay,
Yeah.
it's there, it's going to remain there. um,
And be prepared for the future, right?
yes, and basically thinking about the UI architecture and all of that is also important. Okay, and try to always have in mind the scalability and the maintenance. Okay, don't just do things thinking about today, do that, but also think about tomorrow. Yeah. And finally, I mean, as I explained you and as I said before, and it helped me a lot personally, is to try to have a good um, relationship with the client. It's also very important. Okay, and work side by side with them. Okay, don't close yourself in what you need to do and just deliver stuff, because probably this is not going to work. Okay, because a digital transformation is very complex. It takes a long time, and things change a lot in 2 3 years. Okay? Not just the design, but the ideas change. And we are talking digital transformation is something that is going to long last. Okay, not just 1 year or two, probably more. Okay, so yeah, that's it. I mean, this project is very challenging. It keeps being very challenging, but yeah, I like to think that our work helped them grow healthier. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm sure about that. And also, the ones at home really got what it is to work with in this case a bank
Hmm.
as a developer as you are, and with the team that we have at High Interacting, and the benefits they can extract from working with us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is
Perfect.
it. Yeah, I think
No more
that is it.
questions.
What?
No more questions.
No, I think I'm done with the questions,
Oh,
and
now I'm in the flow. Let's talk about.
you are always in the flow. Maybe for a next masterclass we can
Let's
talk
talk
a
about
little bit
design
more.
system.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Pedro.
All right.
It was a great time talking
Yeah,
with
it's
you,
always a pleasure.
and it's always a pleasure
All right.
meeting you here in this type of content.
Mhm.
And that's it. Thanks for the ones that stood by till the end here at home. So yeah, see you on a
All right,
masterclass or
everybody.
on another video cast that we may have. Stay tuned for more content
Yep.
like this. And yeah, see you soon.
Bye bye. Have
Bye.
fun.